my name is Pecha Kucha. I am from Group X3 of ReelInteraction, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about augmented reality in film production. This presentation is going to focus mostly on what the problem is currently in the film production industry, how we intend to solve it as a group, and the potential future of our product. So without further ado, let's talk about the problem. So the problem is the use of concept art and real-world placeholders to visualize physical interactions with virtual assets does not promote a universal vision of the final product. Now, what does that even mean? It means that when actors and directors are on set interacting with digital elements, they're not actually interacting with anything that's going to be there in the final production. So here's a really good example. As you can see, this is what the final production looked like. We had the two cartoon characters, but as the actor was sitting on stage, he had to interact with little tennis balls attached to sticks, which has the potential to not get the best reactions from actors and whatnot in this kind of situation. And when they're not doing this sort of filming, then they have to work with motion capture. So movies like Avatar and like Tron had to do motion capture. And basically you're going to throw your actor in this really tight spandex suit with little glowy balls on it, and then they're going to interact with the environment around them, and then in the post-production they're going to go in and they're going to actually put the character on top of that. And that's really tedious because they have to paint out the markers in post-production. So we think that augmented reality is the way to go. And this is an example of augmented reality on the Ray-Ban website. If you have a webcam, as you can see, we have the real guy and the real background, real environment, but they augment different sunglasses on your eyes. So this is basically what augmented reality is. You put digital elements into a real-life situation. So with augmented reality, we believe as a group that we can essentially do the exact same things you can do in a motion capture studio without having to worry about markers. So we do that using Microsoft Kinects and the Unity 3D game engine. That's the software that we're running through. And Microsoft Kinects are actually pretty interesting because they work on depth-based tracking and infrared tracking. So here's an example of infrared tracking. As you can obviously see, there's a person right there. And so it laid the skeleton right on top of that. And then the depth tracking part of it is if the person is closer to the camera, then it'll pick them up and it won't really pick up the stuff behind them. So depth tracking and infrared tracking, we believe that that can replace motion capture. So for our project, we are only tracking several different joints. Obviously, we have your sternum joint. That's probably the most important one right there. Your shoulders, hips, your pelvis is also very important. We're also tracking the elbows, the wrists, the knees, and the ankles, and the tips of your feet. We're not tracking individual fingers because that's a little bit too specific for what we're doing. So here's basically a flow chart of what our final product is going to look like. We have the Microsoft Kinect, and that feeds into a computer that sends the information to the server, and then once the server puts it into Unity, and then it spits out your augmented reality. So this is basically what we're following, and here's an example of the server and how this all works. Over here we have our server. As you can see, David's standing over there, and it's got the skeleton on top of him. And so it's picking up the different points. You can see kind of the outline of him in the upper right-hand corner there. And then it's spitting out these spheres and squares as the colliders. So when these actually collide with different elements, they will move the digital elements in the scene. So this is kind of a better example